Good morning, everyone joining in. Thank you so much for joining
Hello,
us today. Right.
Lovely to see some familiar names there.
Right, I have the fun job now of just constantly admitting everyone who jumps into the waiting room. So we should keep on top of this. Everyone's piling in. We'll just give it another minute, guys. Let everyone get logged in already, and then we will get started with our live Zoom chat today. But thank you all for joining us. It's not as sunny outside as it has been for the last week. Some lovely days. It's been yeah, we've been very lucky. All right, just a few more people joining in. Yeah, it's nice when it's lovely and sunny outside, but not so much when you're working inside.
Yeah, now the sun's gone away, maybe people will get a bit more productive, hey?
Well, maybe they won't be queuing for 3 hours outside IKEA anymore. That was crazy. I couldn't believe that.
No, it is amazing. The weather changes habits so much, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. We're booked to go on holiday later this year in Florida to Disney World, and we've been watching how they're progressing. And the parks don't open till July; they've been shut. But they've got a little shopping area called Disney Springs, and that opened last week. And apparently, the queue to the Disney shop within that little shopping precinct, the queue was 6 hours long.
Wow, damn, that's unbelievable. You'll have to take some patience with you on this trip, it sounds like.
yeah, a bit too much queuing. Okay, I think we've got most of the group in. I'll click admit if anyone else joins in. But good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Just to give you a bit of a background, my name's Daniel Disney. This is Karen Dunne-Squire. We'll do some introductions in a second. But we have been friends, colleagues for a few years now, and we were having a catch up a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And we were talking about everything that's happening, how it's impacting our businesses, how it's impacting the businesses that we work with. And we sort of started to talk about, okay, well, what's starting to happen now that things are slowly starting to get back to normal? So whether it's over the next coming weeks or months, how are the businesses we work with, our businesses, and what are our thoughts on how can businesses adapt to this change? Are they going to learn from everything that they've sort of changed over the last few months? Are they going to go back to bad habits? Are they going to use what they've learned and implement sort of better systems and routines and processes? And we were sort of getting deep into this conversation, and it was one of those moments when you go, do you know what? We're having this conversation between us, and actually this is some pretty interesting stuff that I'm sure people will find value in, and hopefully we'll have some contributions to as well. So the format of today is really light. What we've got is a few key bullet points we're going to dive into, and please feel free to ask questions or share your thoughts in the chat box. We'll have a Q&A, a proper Q&A, probably for the last 10 minutes of the session. But if you have any really key questions, pop it in the chat box, and if it kind of flows with what we're discussing and what we're covering, we'll dive into those questions as we go. Feel free to unmute and contribute a question as well. But we're going to try and cover as many sort of key areas as we can. Hopefully there'll be some good stories, tips, and examples that we can share from our experiences and again, the people that we've worked with that may be valuable and beneficial to your audience as well. I'll be playing the host to kind of keep an eye on everything going on. I have a bit of a cough, apologies. Well, I may cough a little bit through this. I'll try and drink lots of water and keep it down. But let's dig into the session. So Karen, if I pass to you, if you're right to do a quick introduction, and then I'll introduce myself.
Of course. Thank you so much, Dan. It's lovely to see you all. I can see a few familiar names and faces. And to those of you who have not met me before, I am Karen Dunne-Squire, and I run this business here, which is called Elation. And we work with businesses to help them meet their growth aspirations. We call ourselves a business growth consultancy. That means a lot of things to a lot of people. But what we fundamentally do is help businesses work out how to generate revenue by winning and keeping as many customers as possible. And as Dan said, he and I have worked together now for many years in various different capacities. But the one thing we're both really passionate about is how businesses can attract more customers, how salespeople can behave in the right way, how sales managers can drive the right results in a way that not only meets the business needs, but also meets the needs of the customers, and getting that balance of both sides is really key. So we started to throw around some questions around how can a business continue to do that, given all of the change and upheaval that we've seen recently. And so what we hope is that through chatting through those ideas, and we'll be able to stimulate some thought for you guys about making sure your business is as future-proof as it can possibly be. Hey, Dan?
Brilliant introduction. And honestly, everyone I speak to, and this is an opinion I share as well, Karen is by far one of the smartest people in sales right now. And everyone says that. I've seen Karen speak a few times, and she owns the stage. Her training is amazing. So it is a privilege to be sharing the virtual stage with you today. Not quite as sunny and glamorous as Croatia last year, but
not quite.
Plenty of fun. My name's Daniel Disney. I'm a LinkedIn and social selling trainer. So my passion is helping businesses and sales teams leverage LinkedIn to its full potential as a sort of sales and marketing tool. I also run a company called The Daily Sales, which shares a variety of sales content to try and motivate and entertain salespeople. And again, me and Karen have a very shared passion, which is sales. My background from my first job is sales, traditional sales for the most part. And yeah, both of us immensely dedicated to the sales industry. And we care. We want to help people and their businesses and their sales teams sell as best they can. So really excited to dive into this today. And what's quite unique is this isn't a subject that I've really seen covered a lot. I think everyone's talked about adapting to the current sort of pandemic, adapting to remote working, and whether you should slow down, speed up, change your messaging, all that kind of stuff. And what no one's really been thinking about is, okay, when things do go back to normal, which is going to happen, people are slowly going to start going back into their offices, which they already are. People are slowly going to start getting more face-to-face interactions. How are things going to change? I imagine, and this is kind of what sparked our initial conversation, there'll be a lot of businesses that will go straight back to the bad habits they had before, whereas during the last couple of months, they changed loads of things and changed their messaging, and suddenly their salespeople were starting to listen more and be empathetic and tap into all these things that they should have been doing in the first place. Pressure was eased off from them, targets were eased off, so they were given this new freedom to really become professional salespeople. What's going to happen is a lot of people will then go back in. It will be high pressure, right? We've got to make up for lost time, increase pressure, increase KPIs and targets, and they're going to be sent back out there, in the same way that they were before. What we want to hopefully do is maybe get people to start thinking about, okay, what have we learned and what can we take from the last couple of months and turn into the new normal, I guess, moving forward. So our first sort of bullet point question, which I think we'll dive into, is what are the biggest opportunities that bright leaders will be able to take advantage of as they move back to work? So Karen, let's dig into this. What were some of your thoughts on this one?
I would love to kick this off. So I genuinely think that if good leaders and managers and good businesses can embrace this as an opportunity to see a different future, and those are the businesses that are really going to start outstripping their competition. And I think there's two things that are really, really key opportunities. One of them I wrote about at length yesterday. One of them is learning to embrace change. Yeah, change is a difficult thing for human beings. There's some great research that says that actually 67% of people are very resistant to change. So as a leader, one of your biggest issues is getting your team to adapt to change and to adopt new ideas and to take on new behaviors. That's a difficult job to do. It's a process you've got to take people through. It's not always easy. And it's one of the biggest frustrations that a lot of sales leaders will have. We've had so much change right now that I think we're in a kind of practice makes perfect situation. Yeah. Keep on working on the strategies for change. Keep on working on motivating and engaging and communicating your expectations around different, and that will be opportunity number one. Become a change master in your business. Opportunity number two, for me, really importantly, is to use it as an opportunity to break old habits. Yeah. When we are in business as usual, when we're going into work every day, going through the same patterns, doing the same things, it's very, very easy to get stuck in a rut. Whether that's good habits or bad habits, we're stuck in them. And right now, I think it's a chance to say, what are the things that we were doing before that weren't perfect, that weren't working brilliantly? What bad habits have I got stuck into? When I walk back into my office for the first time in 1 week, 2 weeks, 6 months, whenever it might be, I can shake off that habit. I don't need to be stuck in that rut. I can really start to say, what do I want to do and be differently? Those are the two things that I'm super passionate about people enthusing about right now.
I love that, Karen. And the whole embracing change is such a big one. I think when this all happened, there were sort of two big reactions. You had your sort of problem finders and your solution finders. You had people that just saw a dead end. And I was seeing people post about this and commenting on some of my posts saying, we're stopping all our selling. We're just putting a halt on everything. And that really kind of panic, what's happening? Everyone just bunker down and hide until it's past. Whereas then you have the other people that are solution finders, opportunity finders. And whilst obviously taking everything very seriously, they were looking for opportunities. You had, events businesses that had huge conferences booked over this time that had to cancel it. Their sole source of revenue were these physical conferences. Now, some of them, unfortunately, maybe panicked and stopped and did nothing. But a lot of them adapted and started hosting virtual sessions where they were still able to generate revenue either by selling tickets or selling sponsorship. They went out, they worked hard, they found good platforms, tried, tested, and what they've now got is a whole new revenue stream that's going to complement their physical events, which they'll be able to run probably end of this year, next year. They can now host virtual ones as well. So I think being able to embrace change is difficult. I mean, I think we all went through it. I'm more of an opportunity person, but even I had sort of moments of panic and thinking, and this was a very scary, unique situation. But yes, that sort of ability to be calm and understand how change works, and then lead your teams, your businesses to be ready for change, because something like this could happen again. Touch wood, fingers crossed. It doesn't, but things like this, maybe not just something like a virus, it could be anything happening in the world, can create this need to change. And, we need to be able and ready to adapt to that. So I really like that one, Karen.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, it's so true, isn't it? One of the things that I've been trying to talk to my contacts, my clients, everybody that I'm engaging with at the moment about is change is an opportunity to do things differently. Yeah. If you were perfect before, then you're allowed to be frightened of change. Yeah. But if you weren't perfect, then that chance to do something differently is an opportunity, isn't it? Because I can do it better. Yeah. So I think that it's a chance to look at what wasn't perfect before and what can I actually take as an opportunity to get me a little bit closer to the greatness that I aspire to. And that's the way to look at it. I've had my down days too, don't get me wrong. This has been challenging. But if you use the mindset that change can drive a business, a person, a team to a better and stronger place, then actually that's a positive thing, isn't it?
I saw a Simon Sinek talk, and I'll try and find the link to share with everyone. I'm a huge Simon Sinek fan, but he shared this story about him and his friend running a marathon, and at the end of it, they were giving away free bagels. And he said, there was this huge queue for the bagels, and he said to his friends, "Look, free bagels. We've done this race. Let's go and get a free bagel." And his friend was like, "There's a huge queue," and he was like, "But it's a free bagel." And he went, "No, that queue, it's too big." And Simon said he just walked up, leaned over someone, didn't push them out the way, just leaned over, grabbed a couple of bagels and brought them back. And he said, some people will just look at a problem and they'll see a dead end. Others will find a solution. Now, he didn't offend anyone. He didn't push anyone. He didn't shove his way in. He just grabbed a couple of bagels politely and took them away. And I've always liked that way of looking at things. I see this in sales all the time. Salespeople that will get an objection or see a challenge or make an assumption, and they'll just quit. They'll stop there and then without pushing further. And the most successful salespeople I know are the ones that push past extra objections, push past extra challenges. And again, change is just one of those ones. What I like about it, what would be my biggest opportunity, sort of as a bit of a offstep from yours, is efficiency. I think what we've all learned a lot over the last couple of months is how we can be more efficient. What are we spending money on that maybe we don't need to spend money on anymore? What are we doing? What were we doing before that maybe we don't need to do? You know, what trips were we making? How much travel were we doing where maybe that conversation could have been had virtually? You know, how much of our workforce could potentially work from home, work remotely, full-time, part-time, and how would that impact their happiness, motivation, and mindset? How could that impact the efficiency and costs of our business, where we're not covering mileage as much? And hopefully, you know, we've all had to become a lot more efficient over these times. Even I've had to improve a few areas of efficiency in what I do. But again, it's about keeping those lessons and not just slipping back into an old mindset the moment you get the opportunity to. I mean, we see this right now. You know, the moment lockdowns ease, the moment shops and McDonald's starts to open, everyone's there cramming in. And, you know, it's very easy to slip back into old ways and forget what's just happened. So to use everything we've had to do over the last couple of months and turn it into something positive.
It'd be important thing.
Really important. So I think the next point is a nice sort of follow on. And again, focusing on leadership. How do you know if you're ready to return to normal? How do you know when's the right time? I mean, businesses, I think, can go back to normal now. By no means am I an expert on all of the rules of the lockdown easing. But I think a lot of people are now back at work. But how do you know? How do you know if it's appropriate to bring your team in? How do you know whether your facilities are, you know, going to abide by social distancing rules? How do you know if your team are ready to come back in? I think one of the things I was very passionate about at the start of the lockdown was how leaders were leading their teams, because you know, their teams are going to be scared. And as a leader, you know, now was the time that you had to step up and show them the support and guidance and nurturing and reassurance that they need. Well, you know, hopefully good leaders did that. Now we're going to need that exact same mindset in leading our teams back to normality, making them feel comfortable, confident, reassured. What are your thoughts, Karen? I know you work with quite a lot of businesses. Have you got some that are returning to work now or starting to plan returning to work?
You know what, Dan, interestingly, I don't really have very many clients at all who are returning to work. Some of my clients have made decisions that actually home working will be their forever plan. So, you know, I'm starting to work with businesses who have committed to having their sales team home-based for the longevity of the business. And we're looking at plans now as to how to manage and engage those team members. I think, you know, one of the questions, Dan, you'll know I like to be a bit flippant sometimes. One of the questions I've asked a lot of my clients to think about really sensibly is, what the hell are we doing around here? Yeah. And what I mean by that is, I want my customers and my clients to sit down and to look at exactly what it is they are looking to deliver for their customers. Yeah, what customer experience are they looking to drive? How do they want that to be delivered? How do, you know, what experience do they need their customer to have? How do they need to engage with their customer to make sure that that customer experience is maximum? If they can achieve that in the environment that they are in right now, then they're golden and they need to go hammer for tongs. Yeah. If they can't, and they do need to get their guys back into the warehouse to pack the boxes, or they do need their guys by the printing machines to run the machines, then absolutely work with a partner, get a COVID audit done, make sure that you are legally and, you know, practically business ready. But think very carefully about, what do we need to do to give the customer experience that we as a business aspire to, and work every other decision around that. And that is my what the hell are we doing around here question. Yeah, answer that first, I reckon. What's your thought on it?
That's a brilliant question. I love that. And especially customer focused, you know, we have to be customer focused. I'll give you my thoughts in a minute, but I have a quick question to bounce back. Do you think everyone can work remotely, or do you think it's a sort of a unique skill and ability? Because I know from my experience, Some people gel really well to working remotely, working from home. Others
Yeah.
find it too distracting. Others need that atmosphere. They need leadership supporting them on a continuous basis. Do you think it's something everyone can do, or can be led remotely, or do you think some people do need to work in an office?
No, I don't think everyone can work remotely. I listened to an absolutely brilliant interview with a chap that you will know as well as I, Benjamin Dennehy, another great sales trainer. And he has very extreme views on this, which I share in part, where he says actually if your salesperson is working from home and doesn't need managing, why the hell are they working for you? Because actually they shouldn't be employed. They are an aspirational entrepreneur, self-motivated, self-driven. They don't need management. I think there's a place in the middle. I think that there's a very small group of people who will do the best work they can do without any management, and they are entrepreneurial, very, very highly motivated. I think there's a small portion at the end who just will never, ever do their best work at home because they need interaction, they need stimulation, motivation, guidance. Maybe they're less experienced, and maybe they're more extroverted and they need that energy of other people. But I genuinely think there is a large pool of people in the middle who, with the right levels of interaction, the right level of coaching, the right level of engagement, could do most of their work from home. I'm advocating socially distanced face-to-face meetings as soon as possible. People like people, we are stimulated by people, but I've seen some great management approaches where through using technology, people are still really able to motivate people at home. So yeah, there's that large portion that can, but not everyone.
You touched on a really good point there, and that's technology. We're very lucky that there are so many software tools now that enable us to be able to lead effectively. I mean, especially in the world of selling. I mean, there are so many tools. You've got tools now that can record, listen, and analyze calls that your sales team are making. Our CRMs are so advanced now. We've got tons of enablement tools that can start to help with the process and really monitor what our salespeople are doing. So, we're lucky there's a lot of tools in place to help manage and monitor. I obviously listened to that one that Benjamin said around, if they are that good, then they really shouldn't be working. But, a lot of people like the security that a company offers. So, yeah, I think you're right, Karen. I think there is a big group of people that can and hopefully will now be able to be empowered to work remotely if it's their choice. Some people might be able to do it, but actually they prefer to be in the office. Businesses, I've seen a few businesses now not renew the leases on their office spaces because they're going to now move forward and be a totally remote team, and it'll be an experience. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. As a responsible leader, you've got to be prepared for both outcomes, and maybe you'll end up back in an office. But I think it's good to look at everyone as an individual, see how they're performing, how it's working. But you're right, I think ultimately, and I know from my experience, that human interaction has always been key, whether it's with one of my team, whether it's with my superior, my manager, whether it's with my customers. Being face to face, it's video doesn't replace it. It's good, it's as close as you're ever going to get, but it's not the same as being face to face with someone, even in a socially distanced way. And I'm missing handshakes and hugs and all that wonderful stuff that you do with your colleagues and friends and customers. I'm going to miss that for however long we kind of have to sacrifice it. But yeah, we kind of thrive on that interaction. So it'll be very interesting to see how businesses adapt. What I'd love to know, actually, if everyone can, or anyone who wants to contribute, pop it in the chat box. How is everyone sort of implementing this change? So is there anyone in here that's going to go completely remote? Is there anyone in here that's back in the office place? Has anyone changed some of their things? It'd be great to know. Just pop your thoughts into the chat box. It'd be great to see what you guys in the audience have done or are starting to do or starting to think of as we sort of start to move back to, I say, a new normal. I mean, it'll be a phased thing back to a relative level of normality.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if you can see, Dan, I think one of the audience has made the comment around internal sales versus field sales, and that, you know, there is a reason why someone would choose that telesales, internal sales role, because they don't like the independent working, they don't like the isolation, that they do prefer to be internal and have the buzz of a team. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. You know, 10, 20 people on the phone, you know, in a really high energy environment. It's an exciting place to be, isn't it? But I mean, I've got several clients who pulled teams like that home, and I'm not saying everyone's quite as happy as they were before, but they are still getting the results they were getting before, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to give a weird analogy to this. It just popped into my head. It's very unique. But if you just start dancing on your own in your lounge, yeah, you'd have a bit of fun. But it's not going to be the same as dancing in a club or at a festival with tens or hundreds of thousands of people around you. There's an energy you get from that. And I've been in sales. I've worked in sales remotely. I've made cold calls from my home office, and I've made cold calls in and amongst tens or hundreds of other salespeople. And that buzz and energy, hearing music in the background, hearing the gong being hit every time someone gets a sale, hearing the energy and excitement when someone gets an opportunity and puts it on the board. You know, it is different, and we do need to accept that. Yes, you can take some of that, and strong mindseted people will be able to do it from home remotely. But, you know, there will be a lot of people that kind of thrive off that atmosphere. And again, hard to say what's right or wrong. If the results are coming in, then great. But I think there needs to be a level of preparation that some people will need to be around people to work. And again, that's not a right or wrong thing. That's just different types of people. That's why there are some entrepreneurs out there. That's why there are some people that are happy working for someone else. No right or wrong. It's just a difference, I guess.
Yeah, and that's part of the skill of being a leader, right? Is actually understanding which of your team members fit into which of those categories.
I like it. Emma's just your wonderful Emma Karen has just put about how she likes working from home, and actually that's just got me thinking of another thing. There can be a lot of distractions at work. So whilst there may be distractions at home, there are equally, I see a lot of people that get just as distracted at work. Constant breaks, constant chats, and actually when you're at home, you don't have everyone coming up and asking you, you know, questions or asking you to do things. You can concentrate. So yes, on the flip side, you know, you can end up being more productive at home where you can just concentrate. So I think the moral of the story is treat everyone as individual. You really can't stereotype on this. You need to look at everyone's individual reaction to working remotely. Some people want to work home remotely, but they're not as productive. Some people, you know, don't want to work remotely, but they're more productive at home. It's treat everyone as an individual and work with them to, you know, obviously create what's best for both of you, business and individual.
Yeah.
Okay, point number 3. Now, this is a big one. We're going to dive into a few good things. What few things, 2, 3, 4 things, would you be doing now to get ready for the future with your team? So what things can we start to do now to get ready for this new future? I'll share mine very quickly to kind of kick this off. One of the things I'm advising a lot of sales teams and businesses to do now, and have been since the start of all of this, is to really start to embrace and adapt to their digital presence. You know, we've now had to be a lot more digitally active, socially active, be more active on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's become a very noisy place for good reasons. Lots of more, you know, businesses and customers are on there. Now's a good time to start getting people more comfortable, make it part of the routine. So when you do end up going back to whatever the normality will become, you're starting to increase your digital presence. People are becoming a lot more active on social media. Your customers are going to be a lot more active on social media. So it's important that your salespeople, your marketing teams, everyone within the business is starting to invest more into their digital presence, their personal brands, content, and just make sure it's all focused around giving value. Is the biggest tip I can give. You know, most companies, everything they put and share, from the marketing departments to the sales teams to everyone in the business, they just reshare the company blog. They just reshare the company's advertising posts, and it doesn't do anything. It gets zero engagement. It generates rare, if any, opportunities. And you need to flip that right round and make the majority of what you're doing on social beneficial to your customer. Start sharing blogs, news, insights, tips, stories, things that are going to be interesting to them, insightful, educational, entertaining. Give value. Everything you do on social should be giving value. That's how you'll attract people in, and then have your sales team ready to start opening conversations with them that they'll generate through that engagement. But now's a good time to really invest. And I've seen some amazing salespeople. I've seen SDRs, right, the entry level of a sales role, creating these amazing personal brands. And some of them are getting, they're getting so much more traction than any of the company's posts, because they're just sharing stories and insights, and they're getting tons of inbound opportunities. They're growing the company's brand awareness, their own brand awareness, and all they're doing is just sharing good content consistently. It's valuable to their audience. Little things like that can can make a very big impression. Oh.
I wholeheartedly agree. Shall we just let you choke quietly over there? No, I mean, I could not agree more. It's fascinating because I listen to all the talk that you about LinkedIn and personal branding. I've read your book. I've seen you speak millions of times. I couldn't be more confident that your strategies around building that brand are correct. And yet I've always had it as a nice to do on my list of things to do. And it's only been since lockdown that I post on LinkedIn every day. I write blogs. I make YouTube videos every day. I've set up a YouTube channel. I'm linking to that. I'm starting to do all the things that you've told me to do. Build my connections every day. And now that I've done it, I'm reaping the rewards so quickly. I think embracing the digital is absolutely the biggest benefit that many businesses will get out of this. Why do you think, Dan, that even sensible business owners like myself, if I can put myself in that category, we still deprioritize making that time to get good quality value on digital platforms? Do you see it a lot? Why do you think it is? Because it seems to be common.
I see it all the time, Karen, and it goes back to exactly what we've been talking about this entire session, which is change. It requires change. People are just set in the ways of doing things. So many companies, their marketing strategy is built around regurgitating corporate blogs and having a stand at however many seminars each and every year. And what's happened this year has had to totally flip that around. And so it's change. It represents change. It's a difficult approach. No one really understands how they can measure it. How does it work? So you want me to just give value? How can I generate leads from that? It's a very new way of doing things, but it does work, and it works better than the other strategy. It's just getting people to open their eyes to it. It's very easy when you're in a business, when you're running a business, when you're working in sales, you get used to what you're doing, you get in a routine. When something new, when you're asked to do something new, it can be very hard to sort of go away from that routine, because what you're doing probably works for you, and you're on track, you're on the train tracks, and someone's sort of trying to pull you off onto a different direction. It just takes a bit of support and coaching to get them into this new way of doing things. But once they get into it, then you start to see them fly. Now, Duncan made a really, really good question where he sort of said a lot of companies are scared to do it because giving people this voice can be quite scary. Some people might go off and say the wrong thing. They might make a bad impression for the company. They may, end up generating negative media. And my advice to this, you can't control it. I've seen too many companies. I've seen companies put it in their contracts of employment that they're not allowed to use LinkedIn at work. Signed in their contract, which is a bizarre thing. You can't control it. LinkedIn's a personal thing. Even if it was in my contract, I could go home and utilize LinkedIn and build a personal brand. You can't stop it. And companies, that mindset of trying to overly control these things, it's not going to deliver great results. What I always advise people to do is give them the right training and guidance. Show them how to do it. Give them, like when you go bowling, give them the little bumper rails that come up at the side that stop them going off into the gutters. Give them the support so that they can't make mistakes. There are do's and don'ts. Give them the support. Make sure your leaders are keeping an eye on it. You can see everything they're doing on social. None of it's hidden, apart from the messaging. But again, there's no reason you can't access that. Just give them the right tools and then empower them to do the right thing. If they make mistakes, trust me, they're going to be making mistakes on the phone. They're going to be making mistakes face to face. It's not exclusive to using social, but you can't live in fear of them going and doing the wrong thing. it's just your responsibility to give them, it's like having kids. You just need to give them the right tools and guidance and encourage them to do the right thing. Trust me, when people use it right, it's a very bright future. If you were just to hold your team back in fear, you're just going to hold your company back in fear. And when your prospects are starting to look for your products, and they're looking online and they're looking on social media, and they don't see your company or your sales team because you're not doing anything on social media, you've muted them and hid them in the corner, they're going to be drawn to your competitors who are using it, who are making amazing noise and attracting them in. I don't want to do that. So yeah, I would highly recommend, if anyone's fearful of these sort of things, try and don't let fear hold you back. Just look at doing it right, look at setting the right parameters, set guidelines, give them support, coach them. You know, they're going to need help, but you know, give them the training wheels to start with. Before you know it, they'll be cycling on their own.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I always find it quite humorous when I meet with businesses who've got 20 people in their telesales team, 20 people in their field sales team, who are making 100 phone calls a day, attending 6 meetings a day with no supervision, and yet they're not allowed to post on LinkedIn. I'm like, you know, these people are having hundreds of hours a month of communication voice to voice with your customers. Why is it that you wouldn't allow them to put one post on LinkedIn? Much more easily I think diversity is digital. So it's definitely recommending a digital. What other things should people be doing right now?
Okay, you're a little bit blurry there. I don't know, it might be my connection. It may be yours, I'm not too sure. It could be me. So what was the question you just said? I missed it.
I was just saying, one of the things that we're really encouraging people to do is check in on their digital. Mm-hmm. What would be another opportunity?
Oh, okay, yes, sorry, great question. So, digital's first. The other one that I would recommend is, again, looking at where you can be more efficient. So what we just covered, what areas can you cut and improve and change, so when you do go back, you're not just going to start spending the same money or wasting the same amount of time. Again, if someone doesn't need to travel 1 hour, 2 hours for a meeting, then let them do it at home and let them invest those 1 or 2 hours into something more productive. Time is a valuable asset. And I think what a lot of people have realized, as they're not spending as much time commuting, traveling to meetings, etc., is a lot of what they were doing could be done by picking up the phone or having a Zoom chat, having a video chat. So look at what things might be able to become more efficient through utilizing technology, through utilizing video, and how can they then reinvest that time into other more productive activities? We only get a set amount of time each day. Let's make sure we're using that wisely. I think the last couple of months has helped us to see, even myself, you know, delivering more virtual training and coaching, etc. That would be my sort of second one. I think the third point I'd put in, very similar to what you were discussing at the start, Karen, is around mindset change and just learning from how you dealt with this as an individual, how your companies dealt with it, how your managers dealt with it, how your team dealt with it. There's a lot of learning we can take from how we all adapted and dealt with the change, how we reacted, how we responded, you know, the thoughts that came into our heads, what we did straight away, what we did after a few weeks. Were we slow to react? Could we have reacted quicker? Were there things that we didn't have in place that we had to put in place quite quickly? So there were some companies that didn't have laptops for the staff, so they had to panic trying to get their staff the equipment to be able to work remotely. Are there things we can learn so that if something like this ever happens again, or if anything that, you know, prompts fast change, could we have better things in place so that we can react quicker, better, and minimize the negative impact that could have on our business? And whether that's adapting or changing our offerings, you know, can we be better prepared for change in the future?
I love it, Dan. I think that's really powerful stuff. I think that the only thing that I would really want to see people doing, just to make sure that they're building the strongest future, is take this time to do a little bit of analysis, to look at what were we doing before that worked really well. You know, if you've got a great CRM, if you've got great KPIs, if you've got great measures, look at that. If not, you can your team members, you can your customers, you can start to get a sense of what we're doing before analysis of what are the things that need to be different or better, and that will give us the opportunity to refresh our business and really have impact.
Definitely. It kind of flows quite nicely. So our next point I think we'll be able to get through the next 2 points, and we'll have some good time for Q&As. But what are the risks that businesses face if they don't get leadership right? And, this is quite a deep topic. I think leadership is a very big issue in business and especially in sales. Leadership done wrong is going to result in negative results. Leadership done right is going to accelerate growth, etc. So what are your thoughts on the risks to businesses if they don't get the leadership right during this change?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm seeing it already, Dan, and I hope I'm, speaking to a group of highly motivated, innovative business people, because what's happening is the businesses that are not innovative, the businesses that don't have leaders who are able to embrace change, motivate, engage, are over this period of time, one of those organizations has really struggled from a leadership perspective. People are saying that they can't hear.
Yeah, you're back now, Karen. You were a bit robotic, but I think you're back. But you're on mute now. I'll unmute you.
How's that? Is that any better? Can I be heard now?
I can hear you okay. Can everyone else hear Karen okay? Got some thumbs up. I think you're good, Karen.
Okay, great. You were saying technology, embrace it.
Yeah.
I do think. I wonder whether those of you who've got your cameras on, who aren't, them off, because I think it's sucking bandwidth from me, and it's making my system go funny. Yeah, I think that's a bit better.
That's a good point.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And your faces are all very beautiful, by the way. But so I don't know whether this is any clearer for you all. Does that make any difference?
It's coming through really clear now. So hopefully,
great stuff. Yeah, all I was saying about this idea of outstripping your competition, Dan, is that the businesses that I see who are being engaging, motivating leaders, who are innovating, who are adapting, are still thriving, and those that are not are declining. And so I think there's a really big risk that those businesses, innovative leaders, will really struggle, and their competition will run away from them. And I think that's the big risk we face.
Yeah, and I mean, what's your experience? Because how can you support leaders to be innovative? I mean, there's always going to be good leaders, bad leaders. It's like at school, there's always good teachers, bad teachers. How can you help leaders become more innovative, become more flexible, become more responsive to change? I mean, I know you've worked with quite a lot of leaders over the years. What are your sort of thoughts on, what if a leader is struggling with that at the moment, what can they do, or how can they learn to maybe improve?
Yeah, well, we're very, very passionate at Elation about the idea of leading by objectives. So if I've got a sales leader that I'm looking to coach, that I'm looking to develop, and I want them to really step up, and I want them to really be the best version of themselves, I ask their managers to set them a very clear objective. Don't give them the steps of how they want to achieve that objective. Just give them the outcome that they're looking to see. And then ask that leader to come up with 3 or 4 or 5 ways that they might meet that objective. And then discuss that with their team, discuss that with the business owner, because that encourages them to be creative. It encourages them to reach the outcome. If I micromanage someone and say, please follow these specific steps and you will get this outcome, first paths to get there. because that's the way that they innovate and create their way to solutions.
I love that. Almost creating, luckily, not real, situations that encourage them to start thinking outside of the box. I think that's a really clever thing to do, and there'll be so many businesses that don't do that. Again, a lot of businesses get so sucked into the daily routine, they don't put any time to stop and try and coach and support that type of thinking. I think one of the things that, if I was to give a tip to a leader right now in terms of trying to learn from everything that's happened, probably the biggest tip I could give to any leader, and obviously more especially to sales leaders, is learn how to manage pressure. Learn how to manage pressure yourself as an individual, but learn how to manage the pressure that your sales team have. Pressure on salespeople is one of the causes of them doing a lot of the negative things that poor salespeople do. So when they're under a lot of pressure to hit target, that's when they start to pass that pressure on to their prospects and customers. That's when they start to push and start to become a negative salesperson. And it's funny, if you take a salesperson, take all of the pressure off them. I always think about this. When you go up to someone and you say, sell me this pen, you put them on the spot, you're telling them they have to sell something very quickly. So they start regurgitating, oh, this is the most amazing pen. It does this and that. It does all these wonderful things. You have to buy it. That's not what sales is. But if you ask someone, oh, tell me about, what's your favorite pen? Why do you like it? You're not telling them to sell something. You're telling them to describe something they like. Then they open up and then they start to talk. Or if you say, oh, I'm having a problem with my pen, what do you think could help? Again, different mindset. They're going to start asking you questions. Well, what is it you don't like about it? What is it that it's not doing for you? What do you want a pen to do? So it's taking the selling pressure away and trying to encourage them to go out there and just be human beings, go out there and help people. So that managing of pressure, and again, you saw this at the start of everything that was happening. Salespeople, the sales leaders were putting more pressure on their teams. Right, you're going to be working from home. I mean, I saw, I had someone mention to me, can I set up cameras in my sales team's homes so I can record what they're doing? This was the mindset that some leaders had. Others were asking, what software can I do so I can monitor everything they do? How am I going to know if they're making enough calls, if they're doing enough activity? And that was the panic they had. And it's, managing that pressure better and thinking, okay, it's not about me becoming an intense micromanager. So how can I empower my sales team to do the right thing?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I mean, a lot of the conversations that we've had, we could take back several steps and start talking about recruitment. Because if I've got someone working in my business and I don't trust them to work from home, and I don't trust them to put LinkedIn posts out, and I don't trust them to say the right things to my clients, I'm not really sure why I brought them in the first place. But we haven't got enough time to talk a lot about how to do decent recruitment and how to build that culture of success. But I mean, businesses do need to ask themselves, if I can't trust the people in my business, why are they in my business?
Again, this is all those sort of questions that you can hopefully start to ask yourself now, thinking about, okay, how I felt about some of my team, how they reacted, how they responded, may prompt. And I think Benjamin did also cover this in his very aggressive tone that he always has, but he sort of said there are going to be a lot of salespeople that will be out of work just because they've now been seen for perhaps how ineffective they are at selling. And I mean, that's a whole different conversation, maybe one we can pick up in the near future, Karen. But recruitment in general, especially sales recruitment, unfortunately, a lot of companies get that wrong on a huge scale. They either bring in the wrong sales managers, they have a terrible sales recruitment process, so they end up bringing people in that aren't actually good for selling. They look for the wrong things when they interview salespeople. So they get these people in, they're not very good at selling. They might hit some number which eventually becomes acceptable because they can't find anything better. And again, situations like this, may help us highlight that. But I think that's a big one, and I think we should cover that at some point in the future. How can you find, hire, train, and retain great sales talent and great sales leadership talent?
Yeah, great chat to have.
Yeah, that's a deep one. I like that subject. Right, I think we've covered quite a bit, and we've talked in some really different areas. So let's open the floor now to questions. Pop your questions in the chat box, or just right hand if you want to put your hand up, if you want to come on video, and I can unmute you. I won't do it for everyone because it could become chaotic. But if anyone has any questions, now's the time to ask. We'll do 10 minutes of questions, and we can kind of summarize This is all being recorded, so I'll try and get a recording out to everyone. So anyone who's missed it or wants to recap can go back through it. But any questions from anyone in the group?
Oh, Ashley's got a question.
Ashley's got his hand up first. We can see it. Ashley, I will unmute you.
Hey guys, hey, how are we all doing? Great session so far. I found really useful. I can see a few of my my clients and my competitors on this, so I want to ask too many questions. The question I want to ask is around social media. So I've started doing a lot more on LinkedIn recently, and I had a debate with our marketing manager, director yesterday, a healthy one. What's a good post? So I've done kind of your more kind of professional industry related posts, you know, whether it be around obviously furlough payments and things like that affect our sector quite a lot. But then I've also done posts which are a little bit more non-business related. You know, it could be, you know, the other day I put up a poem of that my daughter wrote and a picture of cupcakes that she made. I got more hits on that than I did talking about bloody furlough payments. So do you have that happy medium of doing, you know, your professional side of things as well as your kind of more, I suppose, not jovial, but more light-hearted type posts? And you know, LinkedIn is, you're seeing more and more people walking, doing videos and making comments and that. How do you see that LinkedIn should be used by, you know, a professional salesperson?
I tend to recommend the 80-20 split. So I suggest that 80% of the content you share should be valuable to your audience. And part of that will be, you know, entertaining or insightful into your world. The beauty of posting your daughter's poem and some of the more personal type stuff is it helps people see you as a human being, not just you as a salesperson. When you're just sharing professional stuff, they just see a salesperson. When they get to see you as a human being, you start to break down those barriers and let people buy from people. When the lockdown started, I shared a picture. So in my videos and photos, you'll see the bookshelf in the background, but I got my partner to take a photo of my whole desk and office and computer setup. But as he took the photo, my youngest son, Josh Heyman, laid his head on my shoulder. And it was a very cute photo that allowed me to share the work setup, how I work from home, but it also allowed me to show my prospects and customers, son, that I'm a dad, and they see you in a different light. It's about finding that right balance. LinkedIn is a professional social media network, but people buy from people. They want to get to know you. So it's finding ways to share. And you can't just, you can't share pictures and poems from your kids every single day, but you can share your stories, your thoughts, your insights, and then in amongst that, mix in the slightly more professional type of content, but give lots of value. And then when you do share the professional stuff, you'll drive more engagement to it because they're starting to be invested in you as an individual and your company. So it's that kind of give first and you'll generate more into the whole take type stuff.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Great question, Ashley. Great question. And honestly, it's a sort of a conversation that marketing and sales teams are having in most businesses out there. And it's a new normal for a lot of businesses to have sales and marketing work together. You know, marketing need to come to the sales team, train them how to write content, how to create content. And then salespeople need to educate the marketing team on actually what are our customers engaging with right now? What topics do they want to hear about? What stories that could I share that might work? And it's finding that, bridge between both, not two separate teams anymore. It's coming together. We both need to work together to use this platform. Marketing are just pumping out, corporate marketing content. It's not going to work great. Salespeople going rogue and posting random stuff, probably not going to work great either. Come together and work together for the best kind of results.
Yeah, I think, the key thing for me is that as well as developing a personal brand, you have to add value, don't you? So, of course, my personality is engaging. My cupcakes, I like the sound of cupcakes, Ashley. I probably have liked that post myself. But I also need to know what value you will add to me as a supplier. So I do have to see something in there that is business related. I mean, everything I know about LinkedIn, I learned from Dan anyway. But what I do know is that if I don't share my knowledge, if I don't share the value that I add, I'm not gonna get more customers out of it. And that is, in the end, end, what I need to achieve, isn't it? Lots of people thinking I'm lovely makes my day from an ego perspective, but it's not getting me more leads. So there just needs to be that combo, doesn't there?
That's a really great point, Karen. A lot of people, unfortunately, get sucked into the ego trap within social media and LinkedIn, where they chase likes and followers. They just regurgitate really, bland content that they know is going to get them a nice response. But, for example, the Daily Sales, was built on memes. It shares humorous sales memes every day. If I, as an individual, shared memes every day, people wouldn't take me seriously. It doesn't show that I'm, good, knowledgeable, or effective as a trainer or a speaker. So I have to share my knowledge, share my insights, my tips, so that people, again, have that credibility. So Karen, you're absolutely right. The goal is business for most people. But what you want to do is make sure you get that right balance where you show that you're a credible person, but you also open the doors a bit and bring them into your life. And whether it's a cupcake, whether it's a poem, whether it's a drawing, whatever it may be, little things like that can just help, make things flow a lot smoother. But that was a really good question. Really good question. Has anyone else got a question they'd like to ask? Any hands up? I'm looking for hands. Obviously,
challenge us down.
Come on, guys. We're gonna have some more questions coming up. Has anyone got anything? Oh, I can see Robert. Robert, you got a question there? I'm gonna unmute you. Robert, the stage is yours.
Hi, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm perfect. I saw your message. I'm Robert Chow. Friends, I'm from Indonesia, actually, from Jakarta.
Wow.
So, all the way from Jakarta, just to see you here. Thank you very much for this kind of session, actually. I'm a practically salespeople. I'm doing sales since 1983 until today. Yeah, and I'm the real salesman. I'm not a luck salesman. I'm not a maker salesman, but I'm the real salesman. I call myself is a dragon, So, yeah, actually, basically, salespeople making a mistake is when they meet the customer, they are trying to sell the product, which is for me is totally wrong.
Yes.
You see, when I want to go to my customer, I want to sell this kind of pen. I will not talking about the customer about this pen, but I will try to customer to sell myself. Because once actually I sell myself, I got a pairing, the same Bluetooth version between him and me. Then once actually pairing done, I don't even just sell a pen, I sell everything.
I love that. Robert, you've put it in such a brilliant way. That was super, super insightful. That's exactly how it works.
Yeah, what you described there is building trust, haven't you, Robert? And that ability to get someone to buy into you and trust you and believe in you. That's a skill.
It's true. You can imagine, Karen, I came to you, you don't know me. I said, ma'am, I want to sell to you something which is for me is snowband board maker. I don't think so. You want to buy from strangers like me, you don't know me. No, you not buy from me because the snowman board maker or Mercedes-Benz or something like that, they already have a brand. If you want to buy something, you can call to the office and you look for the salespeople. You don't need me, So if I come with you to you, then I must sell myself to you. Once actually we are pairing, then the product actually come along.
I love that. That passion that you have, Robert, is brilliant, really inspiring, and you've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what sales should be. Thank you so much for contributing that. That was brilliant, the way you presented it. Very, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any last questions, guys, before we wrap this up? We've got time for one more quick question. If anyone has anything they want to ask. Great questions from Ashley and Robert, though. Yeah. Anyone else got anything they'd like to ask? What we'll do after this, by the way, I'll download the recording and try and get it shared out. I think I'll have access to the details that you registered with, so I'll try and email it. If not, we'll post it on our social channels where you'll all be able to download it nice and easily and share it with your teams if you feel it will be will be beneficial. But I think, from my opinion, and I'm hoping it's echoed, I think it would be good for us to do this again, Karen. And
I'd love to, Dan. We could talk about sales for hours. We have talked about sales for hours and hours in our lives, but we could definitely continue for sure.
Lester's just asked a question. Lisa, sorry, has asked a question in the chat box. Top 10 tips you could share. There is not enough time for 10 tips, Lisa, but I will try. I'm going to write your name down. I'll pop you an email with some resources that I think will help, that will cover more than 10 tips. In fact, when I do the follow-up, I'll share it for everyone. That seems silly to do it to one individual. I'll try and chuck in some resources. I'm sure Karen can share some content and resources. We'll try to put together a bit of a goodie bag for everyone as a thank you for attending. So some videos, etc., that can hopefully help. But look, guys, go out there, have a great day. Go and help your customers. Change is going to happen. Don't fear it. Don't let fear hold you back. Embrace it. And remember, people like myself, Karen, and everyone that's in this group, other people on LinkedIn, there are people out there that can support you. If you have any questions, get in touch, please do. Make sure you check out Karen and Elation. I am a huge fan of her and what she does. So please check her out. But huge thank you for joining us today. Thank you for spending the time. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll see you on our next webinar. We'll get to work now on when and what that can be.
Definitely. Can I just echo what Dan said? Such a joy. Dan and I talk about sales off camera all the time, and it's just so nice to be able to do it with the input of others and share these ideas. Wish everyone massive luck in the future, being the drivers of change in your business, and I hope to chat to you all very, very soon.
Awesome stuff, guys. Take care. I'm going to get this recording downloaded and hopefully sent out. We'll speak to you guys all soon. Thanks, everyone.